These are the 10 hip-hop samples from 1988 that transformed music forever. When producers dropped the needle on these breaks, they weren't just making beats, they were creating the blueprint for modern hip-hop production. From James Brown's Funky Drummer to obscure jazz records that sold for $5 in 1988 and now fetch thousands, these samples built hip-hop's golden age. Public Enemy's production team alone used over 200 samples that year. NWA's revolutionary sound came from just 3 turntables and a sampler. And the bonus, the one sample from 1988 that got more artists sued than any other in hip-hop history. These sonic fragments became the foundation of a revolution. Let's drop the needle on hip-hop history. Number 1. James Brown's Funky Drummer. The most sampled break in hip-hop history found its defining moment in 1988, when Public Enemy's production team, the Bomb Squad, chopped up Clyde Stubblefield's legendary drum break for Bring the Noise. They created a sonic assault that changed everything. The original recording from 1970 cost James Brown just $750 to produce. By 1988, that 8-bar drum solo had been looped, chopped and flipped on over 1,000 hip-hop tracks. The break became so essential that Clyde Stubblefield, who improvised it in one take, never received a penny in royalties despite his drums appearing on platinum records throughout the decade. This sample didn't just define 1988, it became hip-hop's rhythmic DNA. Number 2. The Amen Break, 6 seconds that built an empire. Originally from the Winston's 1969 B-side Amen Brother, this drum break exploded across hip-hop in 1988. NWA used it, Mantronix flipped it, Third Bass chopped it. The break's creator, Gregory Coleman, played those 6 seconds in one take during a 4-hour session that paid him $20. By 1988, those same 6 seconds had generated millions in revenue for hip-hop artists. The pattern became so ubiquitous that it spawned entire subgenres. From hip-hop to jungle to drum and bass, this break became the rhythmic foundation for 3 decades of music. No drummer in history has influenced more records without knowing it. Coleman died homeless in 2006, never knowing his 6 seconds of drumming had changed music forever. Number 3. Impeach the President by the Honey Drippers. The break that launched 1,000 hip-hop classics in 1988. When Audio 2 sampled this for Top Billin', they created one of the year's biggest underground hits using just this drum pattern and a bass line. The original single sold less than 5,000 copies in 1973. By 1988, it had become hip-hop's secret weapon. The drums were so clean, so perfectly mixed, that producers could loop them endlessly without any processing. Ice Cube would later call it the perfect hip-hop drum pattern. DJ Premier said finding this record in 1988 was like discovering gold. The track's political message about Nixon got forgotten, but those drums became immortal. Over 400 hip-hop songs have used this break, making it one of the most valuable 8 bars ever recorded. Number 4. Think About It by Lynn Collins. The female voice that defined 1988's hardest tracks. Produced by James Brown in 1972, this track's opening, Yay, Woo, became the ultimate hip-hop exclamation point. Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock's It Takes Two rode this sample to double platinum status in 1988. The song spent 36 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100. Public Enemy layered it into Fight the Power. EPMD chopped it for Strictly Business. Lynn Collins recorded her vocals in 2 takes, earning a flat fee of $250. Those 2 words, Yay, Woo, would appear on records that sold over 20 million copies combined. The break became so popular that by 1989, using it was considered cliché. But in 1988, it was the sound of hip-hop's raw energy. Number 5. Synthetic Substitution by Melvin Bliss. The drum break that defined hardcore hip-hop in 1988. When ultramagnetic MCs used this for ego trippin', they showcased what would become the blueprint for underground hip-hop production. The original 1973 recording was a commercial failure, selling fewer than 1,000 copies. Melvin Bliss recorded the drums in his manager's garage for $50. By 1988, those garage drums had become the foundation for East Coast hip-hop's grimiest beats. The break's dirty, compressed sound was perfect for hip-hop. Unlike the clean breaks everyone was using, this one had grit. Producers discovered that pitching it down created an even darker atmosphere. Over 350 tracks have sampled these drums, from Public Enemy to Wu-Tang Clan. Number 6. Apache by Incredible Bongo Band. The breakdancer's anthem that became hip-hop's calling card in 1988. This cover of a 1960 instrumental became the soundtrack to every b-boy battle from the Bronx to Berlin. When Grandmaster Flash called it the national anthem of hip-hop, he wasn't exaggerating. In 1988 alone, it appeared on dozens of tracks, from underground mixtapes to major label releases. The Incredible Bongo Band recorded it in 1973 as filler for their album, spending just 4 hours on the track. That 4-hour session created 7 minutes and 48 seconds that would define hip-hop culture. The bongo break at 3 minutes 15 seconds became the most anticipated moment at every hip-hop party. By 1988, original copies were selling for $200. Today they fetch over $1,000. Number 7. Skull Snap's self-titled album.
It's a new day. It's a new day. Wow.
The mysterious record that became 1988's most sought-after sample source. This obscure 1973 funk album by a group that disbanded after one record became hip-hop gold. The opening drums of It's a New Day were sampled by everyone from Public Enemy to Gang Starr in 1988. The band pressed only 500 copies initially. They performed exactly 6 shows before breaking up. By 1988, producers were paying $500 for a copy of their only album. The drums were so perfect that DJ Premier said finding this record was like winning the lottery. The band members didn't even know they'd been sampled until 1995. They'd already sold their rights for $3,000 total in 1973. Those drums they recorded in one afternoon have now appeared on over 200 records. Number 8. Pump Me Up by Trouble Funk. The go-go meets hip-hop sample that defined 1988's party jams. This Washington, D.C. go-go classic became the secret ingredient in countless hip-hop tracks that year. When Public Enemy sampled it for Bring the Noise, they introduced go-go's raw energy to hip-hop heads worldwide. The original 12-inch single cost $3.99 in 1984. By 1988, producers were trading copies like currency. The percussion pattern was unlike anything in hip-hop, chaotic but funky, aggressive but danceable. Salt and Peppa used it. Boogie Down Productions flipped it. The percussion break at 2 minutes 33 seconds became the most sampled go-go moment in hip-hop history. Trouble Funk never received royalties, but they inspired an entire generation of producers to look beyond traditional funk and soul for samples. Number 9. Bob James's Nautilus. The jazz fusion masterpiece that became 1988's most sophisticated sample. From the album One released in 1974, this track's opening bass line and electric piano became hip-hop gold. Slick Rick's children's story turned this sample into storytelling magic in 1988. The track went gold, selling over 500,000 copies. Run DMC chopped it. Ultramagnetic MCs flipped it. EPMD reversed it. Bob James was a respected jazz musician who had no idea his experimental fusion album would become a hip-hop cornerstone. He recorded Nautilus in 2 days at a cost of $12,000. By 1988, that recording had generated millions in hip-hop revenue. The underwater sound effects and Rhodes piano created an atmosphere that producers couldn't replicate with drum machines. Over 450 hip-hop tracks have sampled Nautilus, making Bob James one of hip-hop's most sampled artists without ever making a hip-hop record. Number 10. Ashley's Roach Clip by the Soul Searchers. The funk explosion that gave 1988 its hardest beats. This 1974 Chuck Brown production became the foundation for Eric B. and Rakim's revolutionary production style. When Microphone Fiend dropped in 1988 using this sample, it redefined what hip-hop production could be. The original recording featured a talkbox effect that sounded like the future in 1974 and still sounded futuristic in 1988. Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers recorded it in one 6-hour session for $800. That session created a groove that would influence everyone from Dr. Dre to DJ Premier. The drums hit differently, loose but tight, funky but aggressive. By the end of 1988, this sample had appeared on 17 different hip-hop releases. The talkbox intro became so iconic that producers would sample just that part, using it as a sonic signature that meant serious beats were about to drop. Hey, remembering these legendary breaks yet? If you're loving this journey through 1988's game-changing samples, hit that subscribe button right now. Because coming up, we're revealing the one sample that caused more legal chaos than any other in hip-hop history. Trust me, this story will blow your mind. Bonus sample, the one that changed everything, and cost millions in lawsuits.
You know what? La-di-da-di. La-di-da-di.
La-di-da-di by Doug E. Fresh and Slick Rick wasn't technically a sample, but this 1985 recording became the most sampled hip-hop song in 1988. Over 20 different artists bit pieces of this track that year alone, from its beatbox pattern to its storytelling flow. The original was recorded in a closet at Powerplay Studios for $0. Doug E. Fresh provided the beat with his mouth. Slick Rick provided the rhymes. No band, no session musicians, just 2 voices. By 1988, everyone from Snoop Dogg to Notorious B.I.G. was interpolating it. The track has been sampled, covered, or referenced over 800 times, making it the most sampled hip-hop song ever created. But here's the twist. Because it was essentially a cappella with beatboxing, traditional copyright law didn't know how to handle it. The lawsuits that followed set precedents that still affect sampling law today. This wasn't just a sample, it was the moment hip-hop began sampling itself, creating an Ouroboros of creativity that defines the genre to this day. If you lived through these classic samples or discovered them in your favorite tracks years later, drop a like and subscribe for more legendary hip-hop history. Tell us in the comments which sample from 1988 defined hip-hop for you. Thanks for watching, and remember, every hip-hop beat you love started with a producer dropping a needle on a dusty record, finding that perfect break, and creating magic. Peace out, hip-hop heads.